Operation Epic Fury became a shocking demonstration of how vulnerable even the most heavily protected regimes can be. Iran's leadership believed it had built an almost impenetrable security system, designed specifically to prevent foreign attacks or assassination attempts. Underground bunkers, layered air defense systems, and secret relocation networks were supposed to guarantee the safety of Iran's most powerful figures. However, the events described in the script show that those protections failed dramatically. At the center of this shock was the reported elimination of Iran's supreme leader Ali Khamenei, along with many of the country's most senior military commanders. According to the narrative, these leaders were hiding in fortified underground locations, designed to withstand missile strikes and air raids. These bunkers were built deep beneath the ground, and were believed to be capable of resisting powerful bombs, including advanced bunker-busting weapons. Yet despite these precautions, the operation reportedly succeeded in locating and targeting those positions with precision. This indicates that the attackers possessed extremely detailed intelligence about the exact locations of Iran's leadership. Such intelligence likely came from a combination of surveillance technologies, satellite imagery, cyber intelligence, intercepted communications, and potentially human sources on the ground. The success of the operation suggests that Iran's internal security and counterintelligence systems were unable to detect or stop these information leaks. The operation also demonstrated the effectiveness of modern precision strike capabilities. Instead of relying on massive bombardments that cause widespread destruction, the strikes described in the script appear to have been highly targeted. This kind of warfare allows military forces to eliminate specific individuals or command centers without launching large-scale invasions. Advanced missiles, stealth aircraft, and bunker-busting bombs make it possible to penetrate deep underground facilities that were once thought to be safe havens. Another critical aspect of this operation was the destruction of Iran's air defense network. The script claims that a large portion of Iran's air defenses, including advanced systems that were designed to stop incoming missiles and aircraft, were neutralized very early in the campaign. Once these defenses were weakened, it became much easier for attacking forces to operate freely in Iranian airspace and strike key targets. The rapid collapse of Iran's leadership structure also highlights how modern warfare increasingly focuses on decapitation. Strategic operations aimed at removing the top leadership of a government or military. When senior leaders are eliminated quickly, the chain of command can collapse, creating confusion and slowing the enemy's ability to coordinate a response. This can dramatically weaken a country's ability to fight back effectively. Another alarming detail mentioned in the script is that even the temporary replacement for Khamenei was reportedly eliminated shortly after taking the position. This suggests that the attackers were not only able to target the existing leadership but were also able to track and identify new leaders almost immediately. If accurate, this would imply a very deep level of intelligence penetration. For countries around the world, the implications of such an operation are enormous. Leaders who previously believed that underground bunkers, secret compounds, or remote locations could guarantee their safety may now realize that modern intelligence networks can still find them. Advanced surveillance systems, drones, and satellites can monitor movements across large regions, making it harder than ever to hide. This event also demonstrates how modern warfare has shifted from traditional battlefield confrontations to high-tech intelligence and precision operations. The site that controls the best information, surveillance systems, and strike technology can cripple an opponent's leadership in a matter of days. In short, the operation described in the script reveals a harsh reality. In the modern era of warfare, even the most heavily protected leaders and facilities may not be safe. The combination of advanced intelligence gathering, precision weapons, and coordinated military planning can bypass defenses that once seemed impossible to penetrate. This is why the operation is portrayed as such a shocking wake-up call, not only for Iran, but for other world leaders who believed their security systems made them untouchable. Putin is worried Russia could be next. One of the biggest consequences highlighted in the script is the psychological impact that Operation Epic Fury could have on Russian President Vladimir Putin and the leadership inside the Kremlin. The sudden collapse of Iran's leadership structure and the speed of the strikes reportedly shocked many observers around the world. For Putin, however, the implications go far beyond the loss of an ally. The events raise a deeply uncomfortable question inside Russia's leadership. If such an operation can happen to Iran, could it also happen to Russia? For years, many powerful leaders have relied on the belief that their personal security arrangements make them untouchable. Leaders like Putin are known to use multiple layers of protection, including secret locations, heavily guarded residences, and underground bunkers designed to survive major military attacks. Putin himself reportedly has access to several secure compounds and underground facilities built to withstand extreme threats. These locations are meant to guarantee the survival of the country's leadership, even in the event of war. However, the operation described in the script challenges the idea that such protection guarantees safety. The reported ability of the United States and its allies to locate and eliminate Iran's leadership, despite their hidden bunkers, sends a powerful message. Modern intelligence systems may be able to track and target even the most secretive leaders. The concern for Putin is not just theoretical. Modern warfare has changed dramatically in recent decades. Intelligence agencies now rely on advanced technologies such as satellite surveillance, cyber intelligence, signal interception, and artificial intelligence analysis. These systems allow governments to monitor communications, detect movement patterns, and analyze massive amounts of data to identify high-value targets. If these capabilities were used successfully in Iran, Russian leaders may fear that similar systems could potentially be used to monitor them as well. Even highly secretive locations may not remain hidden if advanced satellites or intelligence networks can track supply routes, communications, or unusual activity patterns around those facilities. Another factor increasing Putin's anxiety could be the demonstration of overwhelming air power shown during the operation. According to the script, thousands of targets were struck within a short period of time, and a large portion of Iran's air defenses were reportedly destroyed quickly. If a country's air defense network collapses early in a conflict, it leaves the nation vulnerable to continued strikes on strategic targets. Russia relies heavily on its air defense systems as one of its main protective shields. If those systems were ever compromised in a large-scale conflict, it could expose critical military bases, command centers, and leadership locations. Watching Iran's defenses reportedly fail may therefore serve as a warning sign for Moscow. The situation also carries a strong political and psychological impact. Leaders often depend on the perception of strength and control. If an ally's leadership is removed quickly and dramatically, it can create fear and uncertainty among other governments that share similar positions on the global stage. This fear can lead leaders to become more cautious, more defensive, and sometimes more suspicious of diplomatic negotiations. Another reason for concern is the apparent pattern of events mentioned in the script. The narrative suggests that negotiations sometimes occur before sudden military action takes place. If leaders begin to suspect that diplomatic talks could be used as a delay tactic while preparations for strikes are being made, it could make them far less willing to trust negotiations. For Putin, this situation may create a constant sense of uncertainty. Even if Russia itself is not under direct threat, the demonstration of these capabilities forces Russian leadership to consider the possibility that they could be targeted in the future under certain geopolitical circumstances. Ultimately, the greatest impact may be psychological. Leaders who once believed they could hide safely behind layers of security may now feel that those protections are not as reliable as they once thought. The idea that advanced intelligence networks and precision weapons could reach almost any location in the world creates a new reality for global power politics. In this sense, the operation described in the script does more than just weaken one country. It sends a broader message about how modern military power works, and strike leadership targets within hours changes the way nations think about security. For Putin and the Kremlin, the lesson is clear. The events in Iran may not just represent the fall of an ally. They may also represent a warning about the vulnerabilities that even powerful nations face in the era of high-technology warfare. Iran's collapse hurts Russia strategically, Russia's geopolitical power and military strategy. Iran has long been one of Russia's most important partners, especially in the Middle East and in conflicts where both countries share similar strategic interests. If Iran becomes severely weakened or politically unstable, Russia could lose a critical pillar of its international influence. One of the most immediate effects would be the loss of a strong regional ally. For years, Russia and Iran have cooperated on various geopolitical issues, including military coordination in Syria and political alignment against Western influence in the Middle East. Iran's position allowed Russia to extend its influence into the region, giving Moscow leverage in diplomatic negotiations and regional conflicts. If Iran's leadership collapses or its government becomes unstable, Russia could suddenly find itself with far fewer partners willing or able to support its global ambitions. This loss of influence is especially important because Russia has already seen its network of allies shrink in recent years. Countries like Syria, Venezuela, and Iran were among the few governments closely aligned with Moscow's strategic interests. If Iran's regime weakens or falls, Russia's global alliance network becomes even smaller. This could leave Russia increasingly isolated in international politics and reduce its ability to shape events in key regions of the world. Another major issue for Russia is the potential disruption of military cooperation, particularly in the area of drone technology. The script mentions Iran's Shahed drones, which have played a significant role in Russia's military strategy during the war in Ukraine. These drones are relatively inexpensive compared to advanced missiles and can be launched in large numbers to overwhelm enemy air defenses. Russia has reportedly relied heavily on these drones to conduct mass attacks on Ukrainian infrastructure and military positions. In some cases, hundreds of drones are launched in coordinated waves, designed to exhaust defensive systems before larger missiles are fired. This strategy allows Russia to apply constant pressure on Ukraine's defenses, while conserving more expensive weapons. However, the production of these drones may depend on certain key components originating from Iran. Even if Russia has established factories capable of assembling many parts domestically, it may still rely on specialized parts or technology supplied by Iran. If Iran's military industry becomes disrupted due to war, sanctions, or internal instability, those components could become difficult or impossible to obtain. Without those parts, Russia's drone production could slow down significantly. This would weaken one of the most effective tactics Russia currently uses in its military operations. Fewer drones would mean fewer opportunities to overwhelm air defenses, potentially allowing Ukraine to defend its cities and infrastructure more effectively. Beyond military concerns, Iran's weakening could also reshape global arms markets. Russia has traditionally been one of the world's largest weapons exporters, selling military equipment to many countries around the world. However, recent conflicts have raised questions about the effectiveness of some Russian weapon systems. This shift would have long-term economic consequences for Russia. Arms exports bring billions of dollars into the Russian economy and help maintain the country's military-industrial complex. A decline in international weapon sales would reduce revenue and weaken Russia's defense industry over time. There are also broader geopolitical implications. Iran has historically acted as a regional counterbalance to Western-aligned powers in the Middle East. If Iran becomes too weak to maintain that role, the balance of power in the region could shift dramatically. Countries that once relied on Russia and Iran for support might begin moving closer to the United States or other Western allies instead. Such a shift would further reduce Russia's ability to influence events in the Middle East, a region that is strategically important because of its energy resources, trade routes, and political alliances. In the end, the weakening of Iran creates a chain reaction of problems for Russia. It reduces Moscow's political influence, threatens key military supply chains, undermines its reputation as a weapons supplier, and potentially shifts the balance of power in an entire region. For Putin, this situation represents a serious strategic setback. Iran was not just another ally, it was a crucial partner in maintaining Russia's presence on the global stage. Without a strong Iran, Russia could face increasing isolation, fewer military advantages, and a much harder battle to maintain its influence in international politics.